Well, I think today is July 1st, 2023. When I get up here, sometimes I kind of forget time, but Mom and I are up here with Jordan, Kelsey, and Dan and Nate, enjoying some time in beautiful Island Park. And Kelsey arranged this wonderful float trip for us to go down the Henry's Fork from Big Springs on the water trail coming down. Started coming here like 21 years ago. Jordan's grandmother, Jean King, when she was in high school, she actually worked up here at a place called Max Inn, which is actually on the Highway 20. It's Max Inn right there where the bridge crosses the Henry's Fork. And she worked up here during the summers, taking care of rooms. And so that was one of our reasons for being drawn up here. But Max Inn has just always been a fun place. They've got a dock down there to play in the river, and they've rented boats for about as long as we can remember. I'd never heard of Island Park before. I mean, it's this collapsed volcano caldera. It's actually the ancient Yellowstone. It was Yellowstone before Yellowstone existed, and we'd drive through it to go to Yellowstone after Mom and I got married. And then when we moved to Idaho Falls, we started camping up here. We'd go to Buffalo River Campground with the kids and we'd stay a week there. So we got to know Island Park that way. And when Jordan's grandmother, Jean King, died in 2002, Sherry wanted to remember her mother and have a kind of a place to go to remember her. So we took some of the inheritance money and we found a cabin up here that we could afford, and we just bought it and started fixing it up. So we spent several years with the kids fixing up this cabin and making it a fun place to come. And so we had some canoes. So we'd come up here, and while we were up here, we'd bring the canoes over here, and we had a Suburban, and we'd drop the canoes off, and we'd float the Henry's Fork. So we've been coming up here as a family. We'd come up here and snow machine in this area, the forest you see here. It's been a family place to come over the years. It's a little paradise here in Idaho that a lot of people don't know about, and have a lot of good memories on the water here. Probably one of our most memorable events on here was we floated one year, and the Grandpa King's raft he gave us that was all dry rotted and was leaking air out. And we were trying to get down the river before we ran out of air, and we got kind of stuck on a sandbar, and there's this mama moose and her calf down the river from us, and we had a little Yorkshire Terrier at the time, Mitzi, and she just starts going bonkers. She's barking, barking, barking like she's some big fierce dog. And so the moose sees us and gets upset and then starts running towards us. And so I'm trying to figure out what to do with my kids, because it's like, do we go off into the grass? Do we get out of the boat? What do we do? Because we got a moose coming at us and they will kill you if they get to you. And I've got the paddles. I'm thinking, I'm just going to have to stand up in front of her and hit her in the face with my paddle. And the dog's barking. Some of the kids are starting to cry. Mom's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I'm just trying to figure this whole thing out while this moose is running at me. And she probably got about 100 to 150 feet from the canoe, and moose don't have very good eyesight. And I think when she saw there was multiple people and a dog in there, then all of a sudden she just turned to the side and left the river and ran off into the forest with her calf. I was never so relieved to see a big old moose disappear. That was probably the scariest thing we ever had happen on here. We have a lot of good memories here. Now it's making memories with our grandkids here. We're excited to have Nate and Dan up here with us this time. They get to float on the river and get to see how fun it is. Although it's kind of cold, isn't it, Nate? Is it cold when you wash your feet? But it's just a nice, gentle river. Plus, the scenery just can't be beat. You've got mountains around you. You've got forest. It's all green and lush. You've got this beautiful river. We even saw big fish today in the river. And it's always just been a fun place. You can bring kids here. You can bring old people here. You can bring anybody here. And it's just a nice, beautiful float down a river for a couple of hours. Makes you reconnect with how beautiful nature is. And there's people out here in inner tubes. There's people in rafts. There's people in canoes. There's people in kayaks. I've seen people on paddle boards. Lots of people enjoying the river different ways. You know, there's no cost to get on the river. The water trail's free. So anybody who has gear and has a way to get up to the trailhead can float down it. And it's just a wonderful day, wonderful way to experience nature and be out here. And we just have lots and lots of really good memories being out here. You know, now it's being able to do it all with the grandkids. So it's a great place to come.